So the hammock is set up down here by the creek. Spring is just around the corner. It's already started. And a lot of you are thinking about going camping. I like to camp year round. I have some really nice gear. So quite frequently I get comments from people that do not want to or just are unable to spend that much money on quilts. And they want to know what are some options to keep you decently warm when the weather's not super cold. And I started to look for something to find you guys, and I was actually approached by a company named OneWind. And they have a store on Amazon, and they want to know if they could send me a couple items, would I do a review? And I said, you know what, let's do it. Okay, so OneWind sent me their underquilt and a blanket, and they're pretty cool, and they kind of work together, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then I went out and bought myself the top quilt. I kind of wanted to see that I could go ahead and get the product delivered to my house through the purchase with no issues, since I'd never heard of the company. And all that went perfectly smooth. I got it in like 4 days. And I gotta tell you, they're pretty nice for the money you spend. All right, so let me start with the underquilt. It's a black bishop bag. So in other words, you get a two-sided stuff sack. A little carabiner that clips on your suspension just like every other underquilt. And let's go ahead and set it up. Okay, so I haven't set this up yet on the hammock, so it's pretty much just straight out of the box. But basically you have these little pull tabs, just like everything else, to tension your underquilt. The first thing you're going to want to do though is to cinch up this area here so you don't lose all your hot air. So they give you a full set of options here with this thing. So if you don't have the ability to cinch this up tight, all your warm air that you generate between yourself and the quilt is going to fly out of this loose end. I'll just loosen that to see. All that loose air is going to cause draft and all your heat escapes. So having the ability to cinch up like this is paramount when you're in a hammock and you're using some insulation. All right, so the underquilt is set up. I've got it all adjusted. And this underquilt is the 3/4 underquilt on their website. 67 inches long, 47 inches wide, something like that, and it weighs 1.8 pounds. And it's all synthetic. It's got some sort of DuPont insulator in there, and it's a pretty good feeling fabric. Nice and silky, feels thick enough, light enough. It definitely won't hinder you from sleeping. It's very comfortable feeling fabric. So I'm about 5'6½". Don't cheat me that ½ inch. And at 67 inches, obviously, it's just barely long enough to cover my feet to the back of my head. If you get the full underquilt, which is 83 inches long, I believe, that's going to be a lot more comfortable. And I would probably recommend that unless you were looking for weight savings and space savings in your pack. I think that is at 2.3 pounds on the full length. Pretty good little quilt. 20 denier fabric, if I mentioned that already. 1.8 pounds. I guarantee you that you can sleep comfortable into the 50s with this. Going below that, I would have to test it, but let me show you what's neat. They also sent me the blanket, which is the same material, 20 denier fabric, same material, same build as the underquilt. 1.75 pounds, $40, olive drab on one side, really dark blue, almost black on the other. And it is a pretty quality material. The stitching looks good, just like the underquilt. Now you can use it as a blanket in here. You can use it as a blanket around camp. It's very similar to a woobie, but what it does have is these snaps which marry up to the underquilt, which will allow you to double that insulation underneath you and get you down into a whole nother bracket of temperatures. And let me show you how that works. Okay, so we're all hooked in here. Not a lot to it. The green side is up, so the two dark sides marry together. Again, important to note, I've got the short stuff because I'm a short guy and I thought I could get away with it. If you're a tall person or if you're just a regular short person like me, you may still want to get the longer option. It's a couple more dollars per item, but it may afford you a better sleep, especially if this is going to be your primary. So you can use that blanket as a blanket or as the underquilt. But since I got the top quilt, I just clipped it in. Now let me show you the top quilt. All right, you guessed it, the same materials, 20 denier, same thickness, it's all the same stuff. And pretty good little build. it has a snap and draw cord foot box. You may have seen this on more expensive quilts. So you can undo all this and have just a straight. It's important to have a bigger knot at the end of your barrel lock. All right, there we go. All right, so it has these little snaps right here, and at first I wasn't sure what that was, but let me show you. It's pretty cool. You're going to want to get the side with the snaps for the foot box behind you. Pop your head through, reach back there, grab the foot box snaps, and snap her into place. Pull that up a little bit, let your arms move around. So basically I've just created a camp jacket / blanket for use around camp, and I don't have to pack an extra piece of gear. And I gotta tell you, that's pretty cool. I'm kind of excited about that little feature. I don't know, it just makes me want to go camping and use this as a jacket. I don't know if that makes sense. If you are a slightly more rotund camper than myself, you might not get the snaps on, if you know what I'm saying, because I can already feel those extra granola bars I've been eating this spring. Just be aware, if you're a little bigger, this will still work, but you just have to wear a belt or a piece of rope. But it is actually pretty neat. It's quite warm. It's pretty cool. I gotta tell you, it's pretty cool. So enough about this. Let me show you how it works as an underquilt. So this is a snap and cinch foot box. So you kind of hook your snaps together here, and you may not need all of them, but then you come over here and draw the foot box up. You want to get that as tight as possible. You don't want to have any air getting in and out of that. Kind of tuck it in, it forms its own little draft collar there. So that's actually pretty good. All right, before I get in, let me just say there is no drawstring or cinch at the top of the top quilt, which premium top quilts will have that as a way to kind of draw it in, but they do have a snap. So you can get that on, and then you just basically use it like a sleeping bag, but pretend the zipper would be underneath you, but there's no zipper. So the open spot goes down because the underquilt is protecting you from the bottom from the cold. So you just get in there, throw your feet up in the foot box, make sure your quilt's all sitting the way you want to. You're sleeping. Good feeling materials. It feels pretty good. It's very warm. I'm heating up pretty good. I'm gonna give it a test run. Stand by. All right, so I've been inside it for about 5 minutes now, and I'm already a little bit too warm, which is a good thing when you're trying to stay warm. It's about 65 degrees today, and I'm wearing, my normal clothes, and inside here, already a little too warm. You can regulate heat by taking off or reducing your top cover. You can also take off the blanket addition to the top quilt. So on Amazon, I think we're looking at $60-something for the underquilt, around $40 for the blanket, and somewhere around $55, I think, for the top quilt. And it's a lot of bang for the buck. I'm actually more impressed with it than I thought I would be. For the money you're spending, it's a great system. I'm not even going to compare it to my premium down quilts because it's a whole different category of gear. And synthetic, fairly lightweight, pretty warm. Guarantee you'll be comfortable down in the 50s in this setup, no problem. And that may be what a lot of you are after. That's what I've been getting a lot of requests for. So I thought, hey, I'm just going to throw this out there, give these people a look, give them an option. But yeah, I'll give it the River King approval for a kind of a budget-friendly option for hammock insulation. There is one other thing I got to figure out. There's these 2 extra buttons on this blanket, and I want to find out what that is. All right, so it basically just allows you to snap it and kind of hold it over your body if you're sitting around camp. That's your extra bonus feature for the OneWind blanket. All right, I'm Pete with the River Kings. That's your review. that's the OneWind complete hammock camping insulation system. I'm actually excited about it. I'll be using this on a couple trips this year for sure. And I think a lot of you would get a lot out of this system. It's budget friendly. It's got full featured suspension systems. It can dial you into a good night of hammock camping comfort without freezing your butt off. So if this is the kind of thing you're after, if this is the market you're in, this is a great option. All the links will be in the description, all the technical aspects. I'm going to leave it to them on their website so I don't just have to copy and paste a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm Pete with the River Kings. Thanks for watching. See you soon.